What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's edition of Tuesdays with Turbo. And yes, it's been a couple weeks. It's been a little hectic over here, and I've had this one kind of sitting on the back burner here for a little bit. And this actually happened to some of our clients. So I figured, what the heck? Instead of just sitting on this, it was something that I felt the need that I needed to relay this message to not only our clients, but everyone in general. Um, because it hits close to home, and we always kind of hear about stuff like this, but this is playing out in real time right in front of our eyes. Well, for those of you that do not know, my name is Ryan Turbo Jackson. I am your insurance resource, and normally I do these videos to help educate folks about what they're buying. Insurance, the cost of everything is increasing, as well as your insurance. So if you need to have it, you might as well know what you're paying for. And that's normally the types of videos that I do. But this one's going to be a little different. So hang on, just because it's a different subject matter, if you will. So for those of you that do have questions, please go ahead and shoot me, comment on this video, share it around, do all that good stuff. But it's something that needs to kind of be brought to everyone's attention. Now, before we get into this, because there's a lot of ways people can spin this. So I just want to get out in front and be completely transparent. And I know there is a certain folks that think insurance is a scam to begin with. So for those of you that believe that, more power to you. But this is kind of one of the reasons why people either think that way, or insurance agents and folks that work in the industry are kind of painted as scam artists, used car salesmen, and that's not what we're here to do. Now, there are some that, yes, that is their game plan. That is what they build their business on, but not here. Not here, not with me. So, as I said, there's a couple different ways you can spin this, but regardless of how you want to spin it, this is factual. This actually happened, and I want to let folks know what's going on, because there, especially in our community, there's a lot of elderly people and folks in general that we see the things on TV all the time about the scams and this and that. So I'm not saying this is a scam, but it's not done in good faith. Let's put it that way. And not saying that this business is not a reputable business and does good work. It's about how they're approaching things. So with that being said, let me paint the picture for you. So this wasn't clients out of the Marcellus office in particular. It was one of our other locations, and this happened twice. And what happened was a gentleman from a roofing company came and did an inspection, on one of at least two of our clients' roofs. And the business card that he handed these folks didn't say roofing sales, anything to do with roofing, period. It said, and I'm looking at a photo of the card, it says claims specialist. Now, when I was first going to do this video, I was going to totally put this person and company not on blast, but just to let folks realize, like, this, if you see this is what's going on. But in hindsight, I figured I would just describe the card, and if anyone wants a photo of the card, please let me know. I'd be happy to send it to you. But I didn't think that was appropriate to just put out to the internet. So this, and when I say gentleman, this is a gentleman that was working with our clients. Like I said, his business card, as description, claims specialist. And the phone number is not a local phone number. However, the business is located, or the roofing company is out of Muskegon. So it's a totally different phone number. out of Muskegon. Like I said, I'm not questioning the legitimacy of this business. I'm just questioning the approach of this, because this gentleman is a salesperson. Now, a lot of folks, once they see claims specialist, might immediately think that this gentleman is an inspector from an insurance company, which he is not. And I do not know this gentleman's background in insurance, period. He could be an ex-agent, but even so, he's kind of positioning himself as an insurance expert. So a specialist. When you think claims, you think insurance. So this gentleman is positioning himself as an expert, trying to sell you a new roof. Now, like the title of the video says, we're talking about storm chasers. And this has been going on forever. And I think a lot of us, when we hear the word chaser, immediately we go to the lawyer, who is the ambulance chaser. And we know kind of how the picture is painted around them, as how they're not really the most upstanding people. And like I said, I do not know this gentleman. I've never dealt with his company. I just want to let you know that this gentleman is not an insurance expert. Excuse me. He is not an adjuster. So what happens is this gentleman does an inspection on your roof. And if you're a salesperson, you're going to find something wrong with the roof, unless it's completely brand new. So then he says, all right, well, who's your insurance agent? Let me get a hold of him, and I'll talk to them. Which is very not the way it should be, period. When it comes to claims, only the named insured is allowed to make changes, claims, anything like that, cancel to the policy, period. So this gentleman cannot file a claim on your behalf. There are some agencies that do it, but when we take care of business, the claim has to come from our insured, not a third party, not a claims specialist. Because even though this gentleman is going to say, yes, this is how much your roof is going to cost, my insured deductible will get this roof taken care of for you, he doesn't have the authority to say that. Because once, even if we push back, you the client, call us to make a claim, then whichever company we have you with, they send out their adjuster, and then that's where things get hairy. Because the salesman is telling you that you need a new roof. The inspector is saying whether it's just from age, or to be able to make a claim, we have to pinpoint a cause. And especially with the roof, it's weather. And which event was it? And if you can't really tell us which event is it, then the likelihood of that claim getting paid out is very low. And especially in this day and age right now, where insurance companies are clamping down on roofs, whether it's age, material used, just the overall subject of roofs in particular is a very hot button topic within the insurance industry. Not just with the companies I work with, but the companies across the country. We're seeing roofs. I mean, there's some companies that start depreciating the value of your roof after 10 years. And there's some that are, once it gets to a certain age, they do an actual cash value. And that means if the roof's 15 years old, it's a depreciated value to that 15. So if it's $10,000 to replace that roof, you take your deductible out, and then it's a portion of what that roof, what it would cost to replace that roof because it's old. And a lot of this change in the industry, this look at the, how roofs are rated and graded, come from folks like this person, this claims specialist. Because what normal, and I'm not saying that across the board this is what they do, because I'm sure a lot of times when there is an actual event, these folks are more prepared to come in, do a good job, do it quickly, and get out of there, as compared to, especially here, local contractors. If there's 20 roofs that need to be replaced and we have only a small handful of contractors, the wait time is longer. So these folks have their spot 100%. But thankfully, knock on wood, we haven't had a weather situation in quite some time. So this is kind of grasping at straws, if you will. So he tells you that, yes, you need a new roof. Here's an estimate. You call us. Inspector goes out, and the inspector's like, no, this is just normal wear and tear. There's not a claim situation. So then you're mad at us because we need to, we need to do something and talk to the adjuster to kind of make him see what this claim specialist saw. And like I said, this claim specialist is a salesperson. And I'm not going to sit here and, dog someone for doing their job and doing a good job, because sales is sales, regardless if it's selling insurance, selling cars, selling electronics, selling roofs. There needs to be a salesperson involved. It's just how like I said, I'm going to hammer this home, how the company presents this person as a claims specialist. And I know they did that for a reason, just because a lot of folks are going to see this person, A, as an expert, not a salesperson, and B, as kind of an adjuster. So what he says goes, and then once the actual adjuster gets out there, then that's where the argument starts. So like I said, I'm not dogging anyone for making a living. Not going to do that. Not going to do that at all. It's just I want to let folks know what's going on, how it's happening, how it affects the industry. And now you might be saying, well, Ryan, I've been paying my home premium for 25 years. If they put a roof on my house and I pay my deductible, that's fine by me. And you might be right. In your situation, that might be right. But you have to think, what if everyone did that? What if everyone did that? And I know it's, like I said, insurance is, like I said, some people think it's a scam. And I totally understand that. But when insurance is done correctly, from all sides, from the company standpoint, from the agency standpoint, and the client standpoint, when we all three work together, that's when everything works extremely easily, and it produces the outcomes that everyone is happy with. Okay, so like I said, I was going to I was going to share pictures of this gentleman's card, but I figured that's not the right move. Let's just make folks aware that this is going on. And throughout my years, I've seen this happen. Heck, when there's a storm go through, we see the little signs all over the place. Call us for a free estimate. It's everywhere. But I've never seen it to the point where someone puts on their business card claims specialist. And I'll hammer this home again, because it gives that person more, it makes them appear as an expert, and kind of sheds light on that they're the actual inspector, without actually saying that they're an inspector. Because if they said that he was an insurance adjuster or inspector, you actually have to have state credentials to do that job. Kind of like an insurance license, where you have to have an adjuster's license in order to be able to perform that job. And I have a very good feeling this gentleman does not have that designation. And if he does, more power to him. More power to him. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it. So like I said, if you guys and gals have any questions, like I said, this is not my normal video. It's just something that has come up not once, but a couple times. So I figured, what the heck? Let's make it available to everybody. Let's make sure everyone knows what's going on. And like I said, I have no idea. I'm sure this, judging from this company's the website, they do very good work, and they do work in our area. So it's not as if they're moving state to state and it's kind of a sketchy situation. I'm not insinuating that at all. I'm just saying that the way it's presented can be very misleading. So I figured out, like I said, I'd make this video, let everyone know kind of what would happen if this gentleman or any other salesperson like this approaches you. You're a little bit more informed. You're a little bit more educated. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Well, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, go ahead and share this video, because this is one that I really want to get out there to inform people about the process, how it impacts you as the client, and how it impacts the insurance industry as a whole. So everyone, get out there, have a great week, and I will see you next time.